If you have ever Googled, should I wake my sleeping baby to breastfeed at 2 a.m., you are not alone. And the reason this question is so stressful is because you're usually getting two completely opposite answers. On one side, people say never wake a sleeping baby. On the other, you're told you must wake your baby every 2 to 3 hours or your supply will tank. And neither of those answers is actually helpful. And both can cause problems if applied incorrectly or blindly. So today we are going to answer this question the way it should be answered with context, patterns, and physiology, not fear.
I'm Jamie Zaki, IBCLC and Mama 5, and this is the Breastfeeding with Confidence podcast, where pregnant and new mothers learn how to prepare for and overcome breastfeeding challenges without being controlled by stress, fear, and anxiety. Each week, we'll answer your questions, share breastfeeding success stories, and inspire you to shut out the toxic whispers of the world and embrace your God-given intuition to make confident breastfeeding decisions. Let's dive in.
If there is one thing that I wish every mom had after birth, it's food that feels like a warm hug. Food that actually supports recovery instead of adding to the stress. Food that she didn't have to cook. Am I right? That's why I'm genuinely excited to share restorative roots with you. Their meals follow traditional postpartum wisdom, warm, soft, nourishing, and they're made with organic ingredients, regenerative animal products, sprouted grains, and rich, real bone broth. Restorative Roots is sponsoring today's episode of the Breastfeeding with Confidence podcast because we both believe that you deserve to thrive after your baby is born. Don't forget to visit restorativeroots.com to place your order. All right. Hey, mama friend. I am recording this episode kind of last minute. And girl, I am in Texas and we are in sub-zero, feels like temps. And everything is cased in ice. And I am in my office, which is a mess, by the way, freezing to death. We do not have a heater in here. I have a space heater and it does a really good job. It does a really good job, but it wasn't on. So when I came out, my half drank cup of coffee from yesterday that I left on my desk was frozen solid. This heater is not working well enough for me. I am bundled up. As you can see, I've got blankets on. My hands, I keep having to put them in front of the freezer, the heater. I am literally freezing to death and I do not do cold. If you know me at all, I do not do cold. We get this like 1 week a year, one time a year, and it's terrible. I cannot imagine living in some of the places some of you live. Like, I cannot tolerate this. But I am here because I care. I know you have questions and I know you need answers, whether it is freezing or not. So, wherever you are by the time you hear this, I hope that the storm has passed and I hope that you have kept warm and safe. Like, just a note that storms like this are a great reminder of why breastfeeding is so objectively important. There are already a ton of people out of power for God knows how long, right? God knows how long they're out of power for. And it's really difficult to safely prepare infant formula without power. I'm just going to say that. So there's another vote for breastfeeding if you need a reminder of why you want to stick it out when it gets hard. Today, we are going to be talking about the never ending debate: should you wake a sleeping baby? But first, I want to invite you to grab my free 5 Mistakes That Sabotage Breastfeeding guide. Whether you are pregnant or planning to breastfeed, or you just had your baby and you want to make sure you're not messing things up, this free guide is for you. You can grab it at littlebearlactation.com/mistakes. That's littlebearlactation.com/mistakes. Okay, so why does everyone argue over waking a sleeping baby to nurse? All right, so this decision can affect a few things, right? It can affect your baby's intake, your milk supply, how feeding is feeling overall, not to mention your need for sleep, rest, and peace, especially if you have other kiddos. So, waking the baby up unnecessarily, obviously, interrupts both of your sleep and puts everybody in a bad mood. But not waking the baby when it is needed can slowly and quietly lead to low intake or low supply that doesn't show up until later. And then we have to play catch up and problem solving, right? So the real question Ugh, I cannot talk. Guys, I'm freezing. Freezing. The real question is not should I wake my baby? It's what is my baby showing me? What does my baby need? Right? There's no one size fits all answer. There's kind of three buckets, if you will, that families will fall in. We're going to talk through each kind of situation. And as you know, I believe nothing is black and white. So we're going to have the yeah, wake the baby now bucket, the maybe let's take context into consideration bucket, and the let that baby sleep bucket. All right. So bucket number one, guys, my feet are so cold. Oh my gosh. Okay. We're going to get through this. We're going to get through this. Bucket number one. Yes, you should absolutely wake your baby. This is when you should absolutely wake your baby. Okay. There are times when waking the baby is the right move. You should actively wake your baby if, first of all, it's the first few days of life, right? I mean, a sleepy baby in those first couple days is normal, but your milk supply is still being established. So if your baby is going for long stretches of 4 to 5 hours multiple times, that's not going to do a great job of establishing your supply. I really hope I can get through this, guys. Take a drink of my coffee, which was steaming hot when I came out here and is now almost ice cold itself. I'm holding it in front of the heater now, hoping that warms it up. I have a refrigerator in here, but I need a microwave. I do have a Keurig. I might be able to make some hot, fresh coffee. I'm sorry I'm rambling, guys. I don't do cold, but I'm here for you. I'm here for you. Let's do this. Let's do this. All right. So milk supply is still being established. Baby has not regained birth weight. Then these times are probably not when you want to let baby just sleep on end. Okay. If your baby is like very, very sleepy, hard to rouse, if they have jaundice, they are usually very sleepy and difficult to feed. These are times when you need to be waking your baby to nurse if they are sleeping past 2 to 3 hours at a time. I am going to stand on that firm. Firm. If your baby is sleeping longer than 3 hour stretches on a regular basis and they are jaundice, they have not regained their birth weight, they are struggling with birth weight or with weight whatsoever, you need to be waking that baby to feed. Absolutely. We cannot just let them sleep and sleep and sleep and sleep. Because milk is made on a supply and demand cycle. And if you are not giving the demand, you're not going to have the supply. Yeah, you could just pump and let the baby sleep. But if the baby is not gaining weight, they need to gain weight. They need to eat. And these scenarios, in these cases, these long stretches of sleep, that does not mean your baby is doing great. Sometimes it means baby is conserving energy because feeding is hard and they do not have enough calories to put the effort into feeding and to stay awake. So they sleep to conserve energy. Okay, let me be clear. One long 4 to 5 hour stretch is not always a problem. But if this is their norm, they're going past 3 hours regularly, it's happening multiple times a day, and they're not gaining weight well. Maybe their output's not what we really want to see. It's kind of borderline. They're jaundice. They're hard to wake up, and then they're not really interested in feeding. Those are all red flags when we put it together. So this is where never wake a sleeping baby becomes dangerous advice. These babies do need to be woken up. They need to be encouraged to feed. They need help. And if they're not interested in feeding, it can be a big problem, a big red flag. So this is when we really need to consider what that diaper output is looking like and make a plan for protecting your milk supply while getting ready to work with a lactation consultant and get this figured out. Okay? You need a plan. This is not a wait and watch situation. Bucket number 2 is like, wait and watch, maybe. Let's watch their patterns and see. This is where most of you are going to end up. Okay? Your baby is sleeping for longer stretches sometimes, but when they feed really well. They're not clearly struggling, but you feel a little anxious, something feels off. This is where the rules are like, we can't just, everything's not black and white. Okay. So stop just watching the clock. I want you to look at how full feeds actually look. When they are alert and they are feeding, do they feed well? What does their diaper output look like? Okay. Are they actively feeding when they're nursing? Are they getting full? Are they content after feeding? Whether night feeds, are night feeds going well? Do they look wildly different from daytime feeds? What's that situation look like? Do they just not want to wake up, and it's like this one time, this one stretch that they don't want to wake up, but then the rest of the day they're fine? Okay, then, if this baby is sleeping a long stretch, like one long stretch, but feeds deeply and effectively when they're awake, waking them up might not be necessary. And, just I remember when my first daughter was about 6 weeks old. She took a 5-hour nap in the middle of the day. And I was like, what the heck just happened? I was so freaked out, so worried. Um, but it never happened again. So sometimes these are just one-off events, and it's okay. If it's becoming their pattern and they're consistently having these longer stretches throughout the day and night, that's when we want to go back into that I'm concerned now bucket. But if this is happening one-off, it's not the end of the world. Okay. So we want to look at patterns more than just individual sleep stretches or individual feeding sessions. Overall, if the picture is looking good, then we probably don't have to wake baby, but if it makes you feel better, that's okay too. Bucket number 3. No, let that baby sleep. Let the baby sleep. How do you know when you should just let the baby sleep? If breastfeeding is established, your milk supply is established, your baby feeds effectively, they have gained back their birth weight, and they just keep gaining like crazy. Now sleep is a tool. Okay? Sleep is a tool for everybody's sanity. So at this stage, waking your baby can actually kind of backfire in a way, because if your baby's overtired and they don't actually want to nurse and they're doing well overall in the big picture, then they might feed really poorly. And now you're both fighting and angry and upset and stressed out. Feeding turns into a battle. Then you're like trying to use forceful techniques because you have to feed every 2 to 3 hours and you're freaking out and you're exhausted. So like let everybody get sleep at this point. That being said, if things are going well, yes, sleep can help regulate feeding, but we still need to be mindful of protecting that milk supply. So when little babies go for a sleep stretch longer than 4 to 5 hours overnight, you will likely need to be making sure that you are still removing milk, okay? That you're still pumping during those early hours around like 2 to 4 a.m. when prolactin is naturally highest. That way you can maintain your milk supply and support your milk supply. If this becomes a norm for your baby, just stay aware of those milk supply indicators and your baby's weight gain. Because if there's ever a point that it seems like your milk supply is dropping off or your baby's weight gain is plateauing, it might be worth reconsidering what sleep patterns are looking like in your home. Common traps that parents fall into is really just waking the baby up out of fear, not need. Okay, your milk supply is not going to drop overnight. One long stretch is not going to tank your milk supply or starve your baby. Um, you're not doing something wrong if you listen to that instinct to let your baby sleep. What do we do if baby won't wake up or won't feed well? Okay, so your baby consistently sleeps for these longer stretches. You fall in that first bucket where we've got some red flags going on and we should be waking baby, but they won't actively feed. They're falling asleep at the breast immediately, no matter what you do. Everybody's told you to do the things like the get them skin to skin, put a wet washcloth on them, do these things, tickle their feet, and they're just still not wanting to wake up. They're still not wanting to feed. They are just sleepy. That's not something to ignore. All right, that's when it's a kind of a red flag to be like, okay, maybe we should be looking at how baby's latching. Maybe the latch looks okay, but is it effective? Are they transferring milk efficiently? Are they getting enough milk when they try? This is the time that I usually see babies are struggling and conserving energy, and they just kind of shut down, and people are like, oh, my baby's lazy, she just doesn't want to wake up, and they kind of just act like this is normal and they don't know what to do. And people tell them, like, it's fine, just she'll wake up when she wants to eat or something. This is where skilled support and not just reassurance matters. This is where listening to your instincts matters. So if you feel like you're doing everything right and your baby's just not waking up to feed and you're like, I really feel like this baby is not getting enough milk. Something needs to change. That is when you really do need skilled support. So, guys, the question here is not, should I wake my sleeping baby to breastfeed? It's not yes or no. It's how long should I let my baby sleep? When does it make sense to wake them up? What are the patterns we're seeing overall? Okay. You don't need to overthink it. You just need to ask the right questions. And the right questions will get you answers. And those answers will help you make informed and confident decisions. If you have been listening to this podcast and you're thinking that maybe you would benefit from some expert support, I'm here for you. Whether you are pregnant and don't want to leave breastfeeding to chance, or you're a new mom who needs a trusted guide, I offer concierge virtual breastfeeding support to moms across the United States. So if you need that help, go ahead and go into the show notes and you can determine which breastfeeding support package is right for you. I hope you have a beautiful day. You are doing a great job. And please, 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 if you are in the United States affected by this storm, please stay safe and warm. I am going to go inside and sit by the fire and snuggle up because I'm not sure I can feel my toes anymore.
All right, Mama Bear, that is a wrap for today. If this episode helped you feel a little more confident or a little more prepared for breastfeeding, can I ask you a quick favor? Go ahead and leave me a review. It helps other moms find this podcast and join us in this amazing community of fierce and confident Mama Bears. And hey, if you know a friend who could use some encouragement or real talk about pregnancy, breastfeeding, and all things motherhood, share this episode with her. You've got this, Mama Bear. Trust your instincts, stay fierce, and I'll catch you in the next episode.